everyone. I have gathered you here today to talk about something important. Very important. Glee. In 2013, Glee had its 5th season and they decided to have a Thanksgiving special. This was called The Puppet Master. Now, looking back on 2013, it was a strange time for popular music on the radio. We had some really good hits. We had Royals, Locked Out of Heaven, Treasure, When I Was Your Man. Bruno Mars was really going hard around this time. But then we had some really annoying music. I mean, we had Radioactive, Let Me Take a Selfie, and then The Accursed, The Fox. Glee Season 5. This is where everything started to go downhill. We didn't have Corey Monteith anymore, may he rest in peace, and every episode after this was just bad. It's just bad. Bias aside, this episode had the lowest rating of any Glee episode ever. But why? We're going to get into the history of this episode and the specifics before I talk about what actually happens in this episode. Thanksgiving. We shove our faces with fatty foods that make us fall asleep quickly. TV shows often try to have Thanksgiving specials, and if we're awake, we try to watch them. But Glee is designed for preteens and teenagers. So either they're asleep right now, or their mom and dad are forcing them to spend time with their families. Maybe that's the reason this episode did so bad? Maybe? That's the nicest reason I could think of. Of course, any musical theater kid looking at this, and let's be honest, it's mostly musical theater kids watching Glee, will know what the inspiration is behind this. That would be Avenue Q. Now, for those who don't know, Avenue Q is a musical that features puppets in almost the same exact way that Glee does in this episode. Although Avenue Q is quite controversial for its racism and sexual themes, both of which are also featured in Glee. Another inspiration would probably be just the Muppets. Actually, that same night, Lady Gaga was hosting her Muppets Holiday Special, and that got the exact same ratings as Glee did that night. So either everyone hated puppets, or it was just not a good night for TV. So let's get into what this episode actually consists of. This is a very Blaine-heavy episode. I am not fond of him, so I was already annoyed. This episode consists of Blaine hallucinating because of a gas leak in the school, which he happens to see the whole Glee Club as puppets who end up idolizing and worshiping him. The other subplots include Jake, Marley, and Bree and their whole love situation, and then Sue and Becky and the gang in New York, which now includes Adam Lambert. After that puppet encounter, we have objectively the best song of the episode. We have a mashup of Nasty and Rhythm Nation, both which are by Janet Jackson. This is sang by Jake, Marley, and Bree. This is a very refreshing performance after we had to endure those puppets. Now, after that, we have Cheek to Cheek, which is done in black and white, featuring Will Schuester and Sue Sylvester. Now, as much as I love Will and Emma, this is a beautiful performance which has enemies to lovers written all over it. They look and sound amazing together, and I love it. Now, the last performance of the night is The Fox.
What does the fox say?
This features Blaine making and sending everyone puppets of themselves, even the gang in New York. Now, I agree with Santana. This is really creepy. This is probably the worst performance of all time, only second to every single time Will Schuester tried to rap.
Smarty, go to a party, girls are scantily clad and show body.
Where did Blaine get the budget for this? They're teens in Ohio. They can barely afford a Sheetz run and a bowling trip. Throughout this whole performance, there's only one question. Why? I don't think we'll ever get an answer as to why this was written, why this was greenlit, why was this a Thanksgiving episode? However, it is fun to watch, to cringe at, and to laugh at. And to any Puppet Master apologists, Lily Fisher, there is no defending this episode, and you're wrong. Now, if you want a good Glee episode, you should go ahead and watch anything from season 2. You will be happy, I promise. Now, that has been our deep dive into the Puppet Master. Have a good night, everyone.